Okay, a video I was debating doing because there's really not a lot to talk about personally. But yeah, we have obviously the PlayStation 5 console reveal, and basically the console itself was the last thing we didn't know what it actually looked like. We basically knew, what all the power it would have, the graphics, etc. The one thing we didn't know was what the console would look like, and to be honest, it is the most different looking PlayStation console. But at the end of the day, the design of the console, I'm not too bothered about. It's not like the controller, because the controller, I'm more bothered about, its ergonomics more than anything else. That's the reason why I'm bothered about its design. But the console, it's just going to be something that's going to be, sitting under your television or on a unit somewhere where, it's just there. I mean, who cares? I mean, the design itself, it looks fine. It's not a black box this time. It's black and white, which matches the controllers. The only thing I'm worried about is that since it is white and the controllers are mostly white, is whether this plastic will actually show up any marks on it. Because if you didn't know, white plastic can get stained and leave marks very, very easily. So let's hope that Sony don't let that happen. But something that was a bit of a surprise, that there's two variants now. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, there's going to be a PS5 Pro and a regular one on launch," which really would not make much sense. This one is what a lot of people thought Microsoft were going to do, and who knows? They still might. They could change it, but basically, they're releasing a PS5 with a 4K disc drive and an all digital version, which no doubt will be cheaper. How much cheaper at the current time? I don't know. At the minute, at least here in the UK, we're unsure of prices at the minute, but I'm gonna willing to bet that you're gonna be looking at least £400 to £500 for either one. Who knows? Me personally, I will not be buying this at launch. I don't ever think it's a good idea to buy a console at launch, and the reason is there's not many games for it at launch. B, a lot of those, will most likely have PS4 versions. And C, the price will just go down afterwards. I normally jump on when the slim version of a console goes out, because normally that's when they basically ironed out all the kinks. And, if there's a hardware issue or something wrong with it, then generally that is resolved by the slim model. The PS4 and the Xbox One, the original launch models, tended to not have a very high failure rate. It was pretty much acceptable. It wasn't like with the launch PS3 and the launch Xbox 360 models, where we had quite a few hardware failure issues. It seems to be a thing of the past. But the design itself, meh. Something I do actually quite like is the way that the fans, although they're on the side and the front for the ventilation, there is a bit of a gap left there. They're not just right on the edge, so hopefully they should get some good airflow with them. Other than that, not really a lot to say. We've obviously got a. I'm glad we've got a standard USB A port and a USB C port. It is nice to have both of them on there, which means that obviously it's future proofing it, but also it means that the tons of devices that still use a Type A connector, that is good for that. I remember somebody did mention on, I can't remember what it was, that you could upgrade, that you could add your own SSD in addition to the SSD that is built in. And I'm hoping that is still a thing. Obviously, in the video, this is just, you know, a CGI mock-up, so we'll have to wait until we see the actual thing. Other than that, it's fine. It looks, to be honest, the look of it, something about it reminds me of the original actually launch Xbox 360. Something about that design reminds me of that. It looks kind of almost Apple-like in its design, but again, not too bothered, because to be honest, you know, looking at it from the front, that is all really you'll ever see of it. At least that's what I'll ever see of it, because I'll just I put it in. I've got a space prepared for PS5 in my unit, where it'll just stay there, and you'll only ever see the front. Which version will I go for? You know, if I do get a launch model, which is unlikely, but if I saw one at a decent price, then I'd obviously, you know, go for the one with the disc drive, because that opens you up to used games, which means that, you know, you're much more likely to get a good deal. It's just having the best of both worlds, essentially. And also, it's nice to have a 4K Blu-ray player as well, so it is nice to have both of those features in there. The old digital one, you're kind of locking yourself down. For the old digital, you know, you've got to be pretty much already buying all of your games all digitally, which can be pretty pricey. I know, you know, Sony has sales on the PlayStation Store, but a lot of the time those sales are still not as cheap as buying a physical copy. It, you know, is weird in the world where the physical copies are cheaper than a digital copy. Because I don't think people are going to migrate over until you make the digital copies, you know, either you know, cheaper, or hopefully, you know, they might get something done with a streaming service. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Well, I'm gonna have a guess, and I'm gonna bet that the price difference between the two of them, at least in the UK, is gonna be somewhere between £70 and £100, maybe, because literally the only difference is one has a Blu-ray drive, one doesn't, and the one with the Blu-ray drive is slightly thicker. I mean, if you're that bothered about having a slightly sleeker console, then by all means. But yeah, to be honest, that's why I was debating whether or not to make a video on it. There's just not a lot to say about the design, because it's just something, you know, it's a console. I will say this though, this at least will easily fit, you know, in any TV rack or unit. Because that's a worrying thing about the Xbox Series X, which, fucking hell, that name is just... Seriously, Microsoft, you are literally, you are close to getting the worst fucking... Actually, you know what, you might actually have the worst names for consoles, actually. Because, yeah, I'm thinking, what is stupider than that? I mean, at this point, Microsoft is making the Wii U's name look like a good idea. But, yeah, at least this one, you know, should be able to say in there. I know Microsoft had its reasons for making the Xbox design look literally just look like a PC, and there were legitimate reasons. But the thing is, though, it's just like most people are, you know, just gonna shove this under their TV, and you know how thick it is. But yeah, nothing else to say about it. On that, would I recommend you jump on and get it straight away? No, absolutely not. Let the people who, obviously, if you're a hardcore fan, then nothing I say will change your mind. You'll buy it on day one. But yeah, and other than the games that went on, there was a couple that piqued my interest. Obviously, you know, a little bit Planet kind of went ooh, but Ratchet and Clank is a one that new Ratchet and Clank is the one I'm looking forward to. but there's nothing there that screams "Go buy this day one" for me. There very rarely ever is. But there we go, and yeah, it's fine. It's fine.